Have you ever wondered if true love can really see beyond wealth and status? If a heart battered by loss can still find a love that lifts it higher than any fortune ever could? Today, you're about to witness a story of hope, heartbreak, and the power of love that changes everything, even when all seems lost. This is the story of a man named Ethan, a man who once had it all and then lost everything. But it wasn't just his riches that slipped through his fingers. It was his confidence, his faith in himself, and most of all, his belief that he could ever be loved for who he truly was. Ethan's world was built on success, a thriving business, the respect of many, and a future filled with promise. But one day, everything collapsed. His company was betrayed by those he trusted most. His fortune vanished overnight, and with it, the life he had dreamed of. Now, Ethan found himself living in a small, cramped apartment on the edge of the city, the kind of place where the walls seem to close in, and the silence screams louder than any noise ever could. Each night, he sat by the window, staring out at a city that no longer felt like home. The weight of failure pressed down on his shoulders, heavier than the coldest winter night. But this story is not about despair. It's about what happens when hope refuses to die. Ethan's days were spent searching for odd jobs, anything to make ends meet. The man who once wore tailored suits, now dressed in worn-out clothes, blending into the crowds of people rushing past without a second glance. Pride kept him from asking for help, and loneliness was his constant companion. Yet deep inside, there was a spark, faint, flickering, but alive. In a small cafe just a few blocks away, Emma worked quietly behind the counter. She wasn't wealthy by any means. Her life was simple: a modest apartment, a job that barely paid the bills, and a heart full of kindness. Emma believed in the goodness of people. She had learned, through her own hardships, that true value lies not in what you have, but in who you are. She had a way of seeing beyond the surface, glimpsing the light inside, even when the world seemed to only show shadows. One rainy afternoon, as Ethan stumbled into the cafe, soaked and weary, Emma noticed the sadness in his eyes. There was no grand introduction, no dramatic encounter, just a quiet recognition of two souls carrying burdens heavier than they let on. Emma handed Ethan a warm cup of tea without asking, her smile gentle but genuine. It was the first warmth he had felt in days, not just from the drink, but from a simple act of kindness. "On the house," she said softly. Ethan hesitated, then nodded, too tired to argue. In that small moment, a fragile thread was woven between them, one that would slowly grow stronger with time. Life has a way of stripping away what we think defines us: money, status, possessions, until all that remains is who we really are inside. For Ethan and Emma, this was the beginning of a journey to discover the true meaning of love and worth. But little did they know, their meeting was no coincidence. It was fate quietly stepping in, setting the stage for a love story that would rise from the ashes of loss, stronger and more beautiful than either could imagine. Stay with me, because this is just the beginning. When Ethan walked into that little cafe, drenched and broken, he had no idea his life was about to change forever. It wasn't just the warmth of the tea or the gentle smile from Emma. It was the feeling of being seen, truly seen, for the first time in a long while. Over the next few weeks, Ethan found himself returning to that cafe more often. At first, it was for the coffee, the shelter from the rain, or just a quiet place to think. But slowly, it became about Emma, her kindness, her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled with hope, even on the darkest days. Emma, too, noticed something different in Ethan. Beneath the tired gaze and worn clothes was a man with stories etched deep in his soul. Stories of dreams lost and battles fought. She didn't care about his past riches or failures. What mattered to her was the man who still believed, even if just a little, in something better. One chilly evening, as the cafe prepared to close, Ethan lingered by the counter. Emma, sensing his hesitation, gently asked, "Do you want to talk?" About it, Ethan looked up, surprised. No one had asked him that in a long time. Slowly, he began to share fragments of his story. The rise, the fall, the betrayal. His voice trembled, but he spoke honestly, stripping away the walls he had built around his heart. Emma listened quietly, offering no judgment, only a comforting presence that said, "You're not alone." That night marked a turning point. From that day on, their conversations became a lifeline, a refuge from the storm that raged outside. They shared dreams, fears, and hopes that neither dared voice before. Ethan started to see the world through Emma's eyes, not as a place that took everything away, but as one that held endless possibilities. And Emma saw in Ethan a strength that went beyond money or status, a man who refused to give up on himself or love. Sometimes it's not the grand gestures or perfect moments that create love. It's the small acts of kindness, the shared silences, the trust to be vulnerable with someone who won't turn away. Ethan and Emma's connection was quietly growing, a fragile flower pushing through cracked concrete, stubbornly reaching for the sun. But as their bond deepened, life was preparing to test them in ways they never expected. Shadows from Ethan's past were stirring, and the true challenge of their love story was just around the corner. Stay with me, the journey has only just begun. Ethan and Emma had found a rare and precious connection in the midst of hardship. Two souls leaning on each other, quietly rebuilding hope. But just as light begins to break through the darkest clouds, shadows often come creeping back. One afternoon, as Ethan and Emma sat sharing a modest lunch in the cafe, a familiar face appeared. Someone from Ethan's past. A man named Victor, once his closest business partner, now his greatest betrayer. Victor's arrival was like a cold gust of wind, freezing the warmth between them. He was everything Ethan feared. Successful, ruthless, and determined to remind him of his fall from grace. Victor approached Ethan with a sly smile, a challenge wrapped in arrogance. "I see you found yourself a new friend. But don't forget who you really are, Ethan. The world doesn't forget betrayal so easily." His words weren't just meant to wound Ethan's pride. They were a threat, a reminder that the past was not done with him. Watching the exchange, Emma's smile faltered. Doubt crept in. Was Ethan's world truly behind him? Or was he still tied to the pain and anger of the past? She wondered silently if their fragile love could survive the storm Victor was bringing. Ethan's heart raced. He felt the old wounds tearing open, the urge to fight, to prove himself, to protect what little he had left. But beneath the anger was a deeper fear that this time he might lose not just his dreams, but Emma's trust and love as well. Our past can be prisons or stepping stones. For Ethan, the choice was clear. He had to rise above the bitterness and not let the ghosts of yesterday destroy the promise of tomorrow. Victor's shadow threatened to pull them apart, but sometimes love is strongest when tested by fire. Ethan and Emma had to decide. Would they let the past define them? Or would they fight to build a future together? The next chapter will reveal the true power of their bond. Victor's sudden reappearance stirred old fears and doubts, threatening the fragile bond Ethan and Emma had begun to build. But true love doesn't back down when faced with darkness. It finds strength in unity. That evening, Ethan and Emma met at the same cafe where their story began. The air between them was thick with unspoken worries. Emma reached out, taking Ethan's hand gently. "You don't have to face this alone," she said softly. "We're stronger together." For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt a flicker of courage. He realized this wasn't just his fight anymore. It was theirs. They talked late into the night, sharing fears and hopes. Ethan explained the tangled history with Victor, the betrayal, the loss, and the scars that still lingered. Emma listened carefully, then said, "We can't change the past, but we can decide how it shapes our future." Together, they made a plan, not to fight fire with fire, but to rise through resilience, hard work, and trust. Days turned into weeks. Ethan threw himself into rebuilding his life, this time with Emma by his side. She wasn't just a supporter. She became his partner, his sounding board, his reason to keep going. They started small, helping neighbors, selling handmade goods, and slowly gathering momentum. It's easy to get lost in the noise of the world, but sometimes the quietest. Love is the most powerful. Ethan and Emma's journey wasn't about instant success or grand gestures. It was about believing in each other when no one else did. Together, they began to rise from the ashes, proving that love can be the greatest foundation for rebuilding, not just dreams, but lives. But as with every journey, more challenges lay ahead. Challenges that would test their love in ways they never imagined. Stay with me. The story is far from over. Ethan and Emma had chosen to face the storm together. They were no longer two lost souls, but partners bound by trust and determination. Yet, rebuilding a life from nothing is never easy, and the road ahead was full of hurdles. Early mornings and late nights became their new normal. Ethan worked tirelessly, taking on every odd job he could find, while Emma juggled her cafe shifts and homemade crafts she sold at local markets. Money was tight. There were days when hunger gnawed at their bellies, and nights when exhaustion made their bodies ache. But neither complained. They had a vision, a future where their love and hard work would pay off. One chilly morning, Emma received a call, a small order for her handmade jewelry from a nearby boutique. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Ethan celebrated with quiet pride when he finally landed a temporary assistant position at a local firm. Each small victory was a spark, lighting the path forward. But hardship tested them in ways neither expected. Old fears crept back. The fear of failure, the fear of losing each other, the fear that their love might not be enough. One evening, after a long day, Ethan sat silently staring at a rejection letter for a business loan. Emma watched him, her heart aching. Maybe we're not meant for this," Ethan whispered, voice heavy with doubt. Emma shook her head, tears in her eyes. We just have to keep going. Together. Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about standing up every time you do. Often with the help of someone who believes in you unconditionally. Ethan and Emma's love wasn't just surviving. It was growing stronger, fueled by hope, trust, and the promise of a better tomorrow. Their journey from rags to riches was just beginning. With every challenge, their bond deepened, and their dreams edged closer to reality. But fate had more surprises in store, some sweet, others bitter, that would test everything they had built. Stay tuned. The story continues. Thanks for stay with us so far. Before beginning the rest of the story, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. Ethan and Emma had faced hunger, exhaustion, and doubt, yet their love endured, growing stronger with each challenge. But just as they began to glimpse hope on the horizon, life threw an unexpected twist their way, one that would test the very foundation of their relationship. One afternoon, while helping Emma sort through some old papers in her apartment, Ethan discovered a letter addressed to her. Curiosity got the better of him, and he opened it quietly. The letter revealed a secret Emma had been keeping, a past filled with hardship and sacrifice, a family she had left behind to protect herself and pursue a better life. She had never told Ethan, fearing judgment and losing the fragile trust they had built. That evening, Emma sat Ethan down, her hands trembling. "There's something I need to tell you," she began, voice barely above a whisper. She shared her story, the struggles, the heartbreak, the reasons she left everything behind. Ethan listened in silence, the weight of her words settling between them. For a moment, Ethan was overwhelmed. He had faced loss and betrayal himself. But Emma's secret stirred feelings of confusion and doubt. Could he trust her fully? Would her past change how he saw her? But then, he saw something else. The courage it took for her to share this truth. And in that moment, his love grew deeper. Love isn't about perfection. It's about accepting the imperfections, the secrets, the scars, the moments we hide from the world. It's about choosing to stand together, even when the truth is hard. The revelation tested their love, but it also opened a new chapter, one where honesty, forgiveness, and understanding became their strongest pillars. They had taken a step closer to true intimacy, but the road ahead still held many surprises. Stay with me as Ethan and Emma's story unfolds further. Emma's secret had been revealed, shaking the very foundation of their trust. But love, when true and strong, isn't broken by honesty. It's rebuilt through it. Ethan and Emma now face the challenge of healing and moving forward together. In the quiet moments that followed Emma's confession, Ethan and Emma sat together. No words, just presence. Sometimes silence spoke louder than any apology or explanation. Emma reached for Ethan's hand, her eyes full of hope and remorse. "I want us to be honest with each other. No more secrets," she said softly. Ethan squeezed her hand gently. "Me too. We've come too far to let fear hold us back now." With renewed commitment, they began to share everything. Their fears, dreams, and even small daily worries. This new openness brought them closer, turning their love into a safe haven where both could be vulnerable without fear. They brainstormed new ideas for their future. Small business plans, community, projects, ways to turn their passion into a stable livelihood. Love isn't just about romance and grand gestures. It's about showing up every day, in big ways and small, and choosing to build a life together, even when the path is uncertain. Slowly but surely, their hard work started to pay off. Emma's crafts began to attract more customers, and Ethan's new job offered small opportunities for growth. They saved every penny, invested in each other's dreams, and celebrated each milestone, no matter how small. Ethan and Emma's love was no longer just a fragile thread. It was a strong rope, woven with trust, hope, and shared purpose. Yet, as they reached for the stars, they would soon face one of their greatest tests. Stay tuned. Their story is far from over. Ethan and Emma had rebuilt trust and started to see the fruits of their labor. Their love had transformed into a powerful force that fueled their dreams. But just as the future seemed bright, a new challenge emerged. one that would demand sacrifice and test their unity. One morning, Ethan received a surprising offer, a chance to manage a promising startup company in a neighboring city. It was the kind of opportunity that could change everything, financially and professionally. But there was a catch. The job required him to relocate immediately, leaving Emma behind for months. Emma's heart sank. She knew this could be a turning point for their future, but the thought of separation brought fear and uncertainty. "I want you to take it," she said, forcing a smile. "We'll make it work." Ethan saw the conflict in her eyes, but also the strength. "I don't want to leave you, Emma, but this might be the break we've been waiting for." Love often asks us to make difficult choices. Sometimes it means being apart temporarily, trusting that the bond you've built can withstand the distance. After long discussions, they agreed that Ethan would take the job. They promised to stay connected, to support each other through the distance, and to keep their dreams alive, no matter how far apart. As Ethan packed his bags and prepared to leave, their hearts were heavy but hopeful. This separation was not the end but a new chapter, a test of their commitment and love. Stay with me, the journey continues, and the greatest challenges often bring the sweetest rewards. Ethan's new job meant distance, uncertainty, and a test of trust. But love, the kind they shared, thrives on faith and hope, even when miles stretch between two hearts. At first, the days felt endless. Emma missed Ethan's presence, the simple moments of laughter, the comfort of a shared meal, the quiet understanding in his eyes. Ethan, too, grappled with loneliness amid the hustle of his demanding new role. But every evening, they made time to talk, sending messages filled with encouragement and promises. Distance is a tricky thing. Phone calls sometimes cut out, messages misunderstood, and the ache of absence grew heavy. They faced moments of doubt, wondering if the strain might pull them apart. One night, after a particularly stressful day, Ethan's voice cracked over the phone. "I don't want to lose you, Emma." Emma's heart ached. "We won't. We just have to hold on to each other and to the future we're building." Love tested by distance is love proven strong. It's not about proximity, but the commitment to stay connected through the storms and silence. While Ethan worked tirelessly, Emma found new strength. She expanded her craft business, using the quiet moments to create with renewed passion. She connected with the community, built friendships, and became a beacon of hope for others, chasing their dreams against all odds. Though separated by miles, Ethan and Emma's hearts beat in unison, their love a steady light guiding them through the darkest nights. But fate still had more twists to unfold, some that would challenge their bond like never before. Stay tuned. Their incredible journey is far from over. Ethan and Emma had survived the strain of distance with love and unwavering commitment. But just when it seemed the future was within reach, fate decided to test their resolve with an unexpected twist. One evening, Emma received a phone call that shook her world. Her small apartment had been broken into. Though nothing valuable was stolen, the violation left her feeling vulnerable and scared. She called Ethan immediately, her voice trembling. "I don't feel safe here anymore." Ethan's heart clenched. Thousands of miles away, he wished he could be there to protect her. "We'll figure this out," he promised, voice firm. "You're not alone." Emma considered moving, but the costs and uncertainty overwhelmed her. Yet, with Ethan's encouragement, she decided to face the fear head-on. She connected with neighbours, got better locks, and even started a small neighbourhood watch group, turning fear into strength. True strength is born in adversity. Ethan, And Emma's love wasn't just about romance. It was about standing tall together. No matter the storms life throws their way, amid the turmoil, an unexpected opportunity arose. A local business owner noticed Emma's crafts and offered her a spot in a popular weekend market, a chance to reach more customers and grow her dream. Emma felt hope rekindling, her spirit lifting despite the challenges. With every trial, Ethan and Emma's love proved resilient. Their journey was far from easy, but with each step, they rose closer to the life they imagined. Emma's courage transformed fear into opportunity, and Ethan's unwavering support kept their dreams alive. Despite the distance, together they were navigating life's twists, but their biggest challenges still awaited. Emma's booth at the weekend market quickly became a local favorite. Her handcrafted jewelry, made with love and care, caught the eyes of many. Customers admired not just the beauty, but the story behind each piece. A story of resilience, hope, and the love that inspired her work. Meanwhile, Ethan's role at the startup blossomed. He gained respect from his colleagues and found himself spearheading a key project with the potential to bring the company into the spotlight. The promotion meant more responsibility and more pressure. Despite successes, the distance and demands of work began to take a toll. Their calls grew shorter, messages less frequent. The exhaustion and stress weighed heavily on both. One night, Emma confided in a close friend, "I'm scared we're drifting apart. Love and ambition often dance on a delicate balance. Pursuing dreams can sometimes mean sacrifices, and the hardest sacrifices are often made in the quiet moments between two hearts." Recognizing the growing distance, Ethan and Emma set aside time for a long conversation. "We have to fight for us," Ethan said earnestly, "no matter how busy life gets." Emma nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "I don't want to lose what we've built." They promised to prioritize their relationship, to nurture it like their dreams, with care, patience, and endless love. Their journey was far from over. Together, they would face whatever came next. Ethan and Emma vowed to fight for their love, despite the growing pressures and distance. But just as they recommitted, life threw them a challenge that would push them to their limits. One rainy evening, Emma received a call from the market coordinator. The weekend market was being shut down due to new city regulations, a blow that threatened Emma's growing business. Her heart sank. The market was more than just a place to sell crafts. It was a symbol of her progress and hope. Over the phone, Emma's voice trembled. "They're closing the market next month. I don't know what to do." Ethan felt the weight of her disappointment. "We'll find a way through this, like we always do. Setbacks are inevitable, but perseverance transforms obstacles into opportunities." Ethan and Emma had faced too much to give up now. Together, they brainstormed alternatives: online sales, local fairs, even partnering with small boutiques. The path wasn't clear, but their determination was unwavering. Emma started setting up an online store, learning the ropes of digital marketing. Ethan used his growing network to reach potential collaborators. This crisis, instead of breaking them, brought Ethan and Emma closer. They realized their love was their greatest asset, a foundation strong enough to weather any storm. Their journey was filled with ups and downs, but each challenge strengthened their bond and sharpened their vision for the future. The weeks that followed were filled with late nights and tireless efforts. Emma threw herself into building her online store, learning every detail from product photos to social media strategies. Though it was overwhelming at times, Ethan was always just a call away, offering encouragement and brainstorming ideas. alongside her. One evening, as Emma sat scrolling through messages from potential customers, she felt a flutter of hope. The orders were slowly coming in, small but steady. For the first time in months, she believed their dreams might truly take shape. Meanwhile, Ethan's project at the startup gained momentum. His innovative ideas impressed his boss, and whispers of a promotion began to circulate. Yet, despite the long hours and growing responsibilities, Ethan never forgot to check in on Emma, reminding her that they were in this journey together. Their love, forged through hardship and distance, now seemed invincible, but life had another surprise waiting. One rainy afternoon, Emma's phone rang. It was an invitation to showcase her crafts at a prestigious city festival. The event was a golden opportunity, a chance to present her work to a wider audience and potential investors. Her heart raced as she shared the news with Ethan, who immediately began helping her prepare. They planned every detail meticulously, from the display booth to the stories behind each piece. The festival day arrived, bustling with excitement and energy. Emma's booth attracted a crowd, her story resonating deeply with visitors. People admired not just the beauty of her crafts, but the passion and perseverance woven into every creation. Among the crowd, a kind-faced woman approached and introduced herself as a representative from a well-known boutique. She offered Emma a partnership to sell her crafts exclusively in their stores across the city. Emma could hardly believe it. This was the breakthrough they had been dreaming of. That evening, as Ethan and Emma celebrated, they realized something profound. Success wasn't just about money or status. It was about love, trust, and the courage to keep going when the odds seemed insurmountable. Together, they had risen from ashes, not just as individuals, but as a team, ready to face whatever the future held. Their story was far from over. It was only just beginning. The partnership with the boutique was a dream come true for Emma. Suddenly, her crafts were reaching people she'd only ever hoped to touch. Orders multiplied, and with every package sent out, her confidence soared. Ethan, too, was thriving. His project had become the centerpiece of the startup's growth strategy, and talk of promotion was turning into an official offer. Their dreams, once distant and fragile, were beginning to take shape in real, tangible ways. But success came with its own set of challenges. With increased workload, time together became even more scarce. The late-night calls turned into brief check-ins, and the messages were often hurried. One evening, Emma sat alone in her studio, surrounded by new designs and unopened orders. The silence felt heavier than ever. She realized that while they were closer to their dreams, the space between them was growing, not just physically, but emotionally. Ethan sensed the change too. On his flight back home for a rare visit, he prepared to bridge the gap they'd unintentionally created. He wanted to remind Emma that no matter how busy life became, their love was the anchor that held them steady. When they finally reunited, it wasn't with grand words or extravagant gestures. It was in the simple moments. Sharing a quiet dinner, walking hand in hand through their favorite park, laughing over memories and hopes. They understood that love isn't just about reaching the finish line. It's about holding each other's hands through the race, through every twist, turn, and hurdle. Their journey from rags to riches wasn't just a story of wealth or success. It was the story of two hearts choosing each other, again and again, no matter what. The months that followed were a whirlwind of growth and change. Emma's boutique partnership expanded into multiple locations, and her online store became a vibrant hub for loyal customers. Every package she sent out carried not just her craft, but the story of hope, resilience, and love. Ethan's promotion came through, making him the youngest project manager in the company's history. His hard work was finally paying off, and with it came greater responsibilities and new opportunities. Despite their busy schedules, Ethan and Emma made it a priority to nurture their relationship. They carved out moments to be together. Quiet mornings, weekend getaways, and long conversations that reminded them of their journey's roots. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset from their small balcony, Ethan took Emma's hand in his. The city lights twinkled below, mirroring the stars above. "Emma," he said softly, "we've come so far, but I want us to build more than just dreams. I want to build a life, together." Tears shimmered in Emma's eyes. "I've always believed in us," she whispered, "no matter where we started or where we go." In that moment, their love blossomed anew. A promise not only of success, but of unwavering companionship, of standing side by side through whatever the future held. Their rags to riches story was more than a tale of fortune. It was a testament to the power of love, perseverance, and seeing the true worth in one another. As time went on, Ethan and Emma's bond only deepened. Their journey had taught them that true wealth wasn't counted in money or possessions, but in the strength they found in each other. They decided it was time to take the next step. Together, they began planning a future that blended their dreams. A cozy home filled with laughter, creativity, and endless love. Emma found joy in designing their new space, infusing it with handcrafted details that told their story. Ethan, balancing his career, made sure to carve out moments to be present, reminding himself that success without love was empty. But just as everything seemed to align, life threw another curveball. One afternoon, Ethan was offered a major opportunity overseas, a chance to lead an international expansion for the company. It was a dream for his career, but meant uprooting their lives and facing months, perhaps years, apart once again. They sat together in their sunlit living room, weighing the possibilities and the sacrifices. Emma's heart ached at the thought of separation, but she saw the passion and drive in Ethan's eyes. "We'll find a way," she said firmly. "Like before, together." Ethan nodded, grateful for her unwavering support. Their love, tested time and again, stood resilient, ready to face new challenges, confident that no distance could dim the light they had built. The day Ethan left for his new assignment overseas was bittersweet. They hugged tightly at the airport, a mix of hope and heartache lingering in the air. Emma whispered, "We've overcome so much. This is just another chapter." Ethan promised to call every night, to share every triumph and struggle, to keep their connection alive despite the miles. At first, their routine was comforting. Morning messages, video calls, sharing small moments despite the time difference. But as the months passed, the challenges of long distance crept in again. The exhaustion from Ethan's demanding job, combined with Emma's growing responsibilities at home, sometimes made their communication falter. One night, after a particularly long day, Emma felt the loneliness creep in. She wondered if the distance was becoming too much. Yet, when Ethan's call finally came, his familiar voice reminded her why their love was worth fighting for. They promised each other to keep pushing forward, to never lose sight of the foundation they built together. Meanwhile, Emma's business continued to flourish, her crafts becoming a beloved brand. Locally, she poured her heart into every piece, each one a symbol of their shared dreams and resilience. Their love story was no fairy tale. It was a testament to patience, trust, and the unwavering belief that together they could conquer anything. Months turned into a year. Through time zones and busy schedules, Ethan and Emma held on to their love with fierce determination. Every call, every message was a lifeline, a reminder that their hearts beat as one despite the distance. Emma's business reached new heights. She hired a small team to help manage orders and began exploring new designs inspired by their journey, pieces that told stories of hope, strength, and love's endurance. Ethan, too, was making strides overseas. His leadership brought success to the company's expansion, earning him recognition and respect in his field. But with success came difficult choices. Both felt the strain of missing each other's everyday lives. The little moments, the shared smiles, the comfort of presence. One evening, Emma found herself staring at a photo of the two of them, taken just before Ethan left. Her heart ached with longing, but also with gratitude for how far they'd come. She picked up the phone and dialed Ethan's number. When he answered, she smiled through the tears. "I miss you," she whispered. "I miss you too," Ethan replied. "But soon, we'll be together again." They made a pact that night. No matter how hard it got, they would keep building their dreams, side by side, hearts intertwined. Their love wasn't just surviving the distance. It was growing stronger, ready to shine brighter than ever before. The promise of reunion gave Ethan and Emma the strength to push through the toughest days. Both were determined to finish what they had started, to build a life that reflected their dreams and the love that had sustained them. Finally, the day arrived when Ethan's overseas assignment came to an end. The moment he stepped off the plane, Emma was there, waiting with open arms and a heart full of joy. They embraced like no time had passed. The distance, the struggles, all melted away in that perfect moment. With Ethan back home, their lives began to weave back together. They moved into a new apartment, a fresh start that symbolized everything they had overcome. Emma's business continued to grow, now with Ethan's support by her side. Together, they brainstormed new ideas, worked late nights, and celebrated small victories. Their love was no longer just a beacon in the dark. It was a blazing fire, illuminating every step of their journey. But life, as always, had more lessons to teach them. Lessons about trust, sacrifice, and the true meaning of success. With Ethan home, their partnership flourished in ways they hadn't imagined. They combined their talents, Emma's creativity, and Ethan's strategic mind, turning her craft business into a thriving brand recognized beyond their city. Late nights were filled with laughter and dreams as they planned expansions, new product lines, and community events to give back to those who had supported them from the start. But amidst the success, they faced a new challenge. The demands of running a growing business tested their patience and resilience. Misunderstandings flared, and stress threatened to pull them apart. One evening, after a heated argument, silence hung heavy between them. Emma retreated to their rooftop garden, overwhelmed and unsure. Ethan found her there, the city lights sparkling around them. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I never want to lose what we have." Emma looked at him, tears glistening. "Neither do I, but we have to remember why we started, for us." They embraced, their hearts beating in unison, reminding each other that love was the foundation they could never afford to forget. Their journey from rags to riches wasn't just about wealth or fame. It was about learning to grow together, forgiving flaws, and choosing love every day. After that night on the rooftop, Ethan and Emma made a silent vow to nurture their relationship with as much care as they did their growing business. They knew that true success meant nothing without the person standing beside you. They began setting aside time for themselves. Date nights, weekend escapes, even simple mornings spent over coffee without distractions. These moments became their sanctuary, a place to reconnect and remind each other of the love that had brought them this far. Emma's craft business continued to bloom. With Ethan's support, she launched a new line inspired by their journey. Pieces that celebrated resilience, hope, and the power of love. Customers resonated deeply, drawn not just to the beauty, but to the story behind every creation. Ethan, proud of Emma's achievements, often found himself marveling at how far they'd come. From struggling with bills and broken dreams to building a life filled with purpose and passion, their love was the thread weaving it all together. But as their success grew, so did their responsibilities. New opportunities beckoned, and tough decisions loomed on the horizon. They knew the road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but together they were ready to face whatever came their way, because their love story, born from rags and forged in hardship, was destined for greatness. As Emma and Ethan's business flourished, they found themselves at a crossroads. An opportunity arose to open their own storefront, a tangible symbol of how far they'd come, but it required a significant investment and carried risks that could threaten everything they'd built. They spent countless nights discussing the pros and cons, weighing their hopes against the fear of failure. Doubts crept in, but so did their unwavering belief in each other. Finally, they decided to take the leap. The grand opening day was filled with excitement and nerves. Friends, family, and loyal customers gathered to celebrate the new chapter in their journey. Emma stood behind the counter, her hands trembling slightly as she greeted guests. Ethan watched proudly from the doorway, knowing this moment was the culmination of years of sacrifice and love. But the challenges didn't end there. Managing a physical store brought new obstacles. Long hours, staffing issues, and the pressure to keep growing. Yet through every challenge, their bond remained unshaken. They learned to lean on one another, to communicate openly, and to find strength in their shared dreams. Their rags to riches story was no fairy tale. It was a testament to resilience, trust, and the extraordinary power of love. As the days turned into months, Emma and Ethan grew more confident in their roles as business owners and partners in life. The storefront became a beloved hub for their community, a place where stories were shared, dreams nurtured, and friendships blossomed. They introduced workshops, inviting local artisans to teach and inspire, weaving a tapestry of creativity and support around their brand. Their love story became an inspiration to many, proof that perseverance and heart could transform even the hardest beginnings. Yet, amidst the success, they never forgot their roots. They volunteered at shelters, donated to causes close to their hearts, and mentored young dreamers trying to find their way. One quiet evening, as they closed the shop and locked the doors, Ethan turned to Emma and said, "We've come so far, but I think our greatest adventure is still ahead." Emma smiled, her eyes shining with hope and love. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Their journey from rags to riches was more than a tale of fortune. It was a living testament to love's enduring power and the miracles that happen when two hearts refuse to give up. Years later, as Ethan and Emma stood hand in hand, looking out over the bustling shop they had built together, they reflected on their incredible journey. From the darkest moments of loss and despair to the brightest days of success and fulfillment, their love had been the constant thread weaving through it all. They had risen from rags, not just in wealth, but in spirit, discovering that true riches lie not in material things, but in the hearts that believe, the hands that hold, and the souls that refused to let go. Their story was a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever felt broken or forgotten. It was proof that when two people see each other's true worth and choose love above all else, they can rise from any ashes and build a life beyond their wildest dreams. Emma looked up at Ethan, her eyes full of love and pride. "We did it. Together." Ethan smiled, pulling her close. "This is just the beginning." And with that, they stepped forward, ready to write the next chapter of their beautiful, unstoppable love story. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey of love, resilience, and hope. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales. As well as, if you watched till the end, please comment love so that we could understand you were with us till the end. Remember, true love isn't about riches. It's about finding the person who sees your worth when no one else does. Until next time, keep believing in the power of love.